Okay, I'm gonna make a quick video on tzitzit or tzitzit, which is Tzitzt is tzitzit. Tzitzot is instead after the second Z it's ZYI, or it's either a Y or an I, and then OT. The OT is plural feminine in Hebrew. Tzitzit or tzitzyot. I was just going to show the finishing, how I finish on the tzitzit, but see, first of all, I make a loop. I cut them about 28. I've been experimenting a little bit with it. Some of them about 32, and then cutting the blue thread longer, because you want the blue thread about 4 inches longer, or maybe longer than that. And then no matter whatever you make them on your tzitzit, make the first knot. See, there's a knot right here. Not the best of cameras, but there's a knot right here that ties them all together. And then I started braiding. You don't have to braid, but I choose to braid them because that way they stay together better and hopefully last longer. And these are nylon. You can buy nylon stuff and some of the other and acrylic at places like Walmart, which is where I got this stuff. That's nylon. This is acrylic. These I use the acrylic for like dress tzitzits. When I'm going to a church or something, I'll wear those on my pants instead of the nylon. I use the nylon because I think it wears better. It absorbs dirt less when I'm out in the garden or out doing things outside, working on stuff. So, and some will argue about what shade of blue you need to have. But anyway, I braid it to allow it to go around the belt loop. You braid it till you have a loop about an inch from top to bottom, so it might be like 2 inches of braiding, or 2-3 inch loop. If you make it 3 inches, it's going to be 1.5 inches. You just kind of experiment with it a little bit. But you braid it, then you tie it in a knot right here. You tie the two in a knot. Then you start wrapping. And this is 10, 5, 6, 5. It's supposed to be 10, 5, 6, 5. And what I was using in between on this is a square knot. There are other knots that may work better, but I tried square knot experimenting on this. And like I said, I was experimenting with the length. They're not exactly the same on all of them. and you wrap. Once you tie your first knot, you wrap, and then you tie a knot or two, depending on which way you're doing it. Then you wrap, or some people tie knots instead of wrap it. They knot it instead of wrap it, which, that's fine too. Whatever works for you. And then another square knot, and then more wraps, and then another square knot, and then more wraps. And I do these in 10-5-6-5 for Yud Hey Vav Hey. Now I'll show you real quick how I wrap them. You'll notice I've got a pin. I've got just a pin a safety pin that I put on my pants to hold it, and I put the loop through at this point, and then I'll find the longest of the blue threads. I find whichever thread is the longest of the blue thread. Then I'll put it back, and you can wrap it either way. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll see, I don't know if you notice, you can see that it's wrapped. And then I push it up and tighten it up. You'll notice I abbreviated this part of the video for the sake of time. Then I bring the two blue threads together. Then I'll go ahead and tie a square knot in this. You can experiment with your knots to get it there. But I square knot it, tighten it up as much as I can. Then I'll find my blue, which is longest. I keep working with the longer blue. They're about the same. So, and then I'll put the one together, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll tighten it up. I slide it down, and I'm holding the other thread. Okay. Then I grab the blue thread again, the other end of it. And then I'll do a square knot to hide the blue threads, so you have just the white showing. That's why I tried the square knot. You can, on others I've done, on other tzitzit I've done, I tied a different knot. But there's that. Then I'll take all of them together, turn them around my fingers, pull it through so that they're all together. Pull it so they're all together, so it can't come loose, because sometimes some knots come loose, and I'll get this knot up as much as possible, close to my other part of it. And then I'll take it off my safety pin. I've done them cleaner. This is not exactly the best. On the ones on my pants, you will see that there we go. The ones that I have on my pants at the moment, you will see I did 2 knots. I did wraps and then 2 knots, and then wrap and then 2 knots. Just regular knots is the way I did those. And then at the end, these are real worn. But basically, you will come out with something a little bit like this. It's not exactly the best example, I suppose, but the whole point is you look at numbers 15, 38, and 39, Deuteronomy 22:12, as to why there is a reminder. So don't get trapped into exact things. You can vary on the number of threads. If you use 3 whites, then you're going to end up with 6 on the other end. And on these, what I'm going to do is I will burn the ends so they won't unravel. I will melt the ends, since this particular set of tzitzyot are nylon. I will melt the ends to keep them from unraveling. But hopefully this gives you a clue about how this is done. You can vary the lengths, and your first knot you tie, to tie them together, you want it half the length of your whites, so that when they come out at the bottom, they're close together, close to the same length. So hopefully this is helpful in some way. Shalom, shalom.